Welcome back to a special edition of Holding Court with Coach Jeff Nelson. I'm J.D. Healy, your Coach Jeff Nelson.
I am.
This is the season-ending show.
It is. I'm looking forward to all the great questions you have and everything else.
Well, first question I have is that we're indoors, but you're dressed rather warmly. You've got a special scarf on there.
It's a little bit chilly out too, but in honor of our football team going to a bowl. Last time was 8 years ago, New Mexico Bowl. I drug it out of my winter closet today, and I don't know what made me do it, but I just thought it was cool, and I'm excited for the football team. So
you're awesome. That's a vintage scarf too, because it's got the original logo on there. Cool. The coach definitely stays in vogue with everything.
Well,
that's awesome.
And going with that, Joe Franklin's a good friend of mine. I want to congratulate him both on his national championship and being National Coach of the Year. He's a awesome guy, and it couldn't happen to a better person.
Real quickly, since you brought that up, and no doubt about it, that is an incredible thing to do. It almost feels like we have a huge advantage. These kids train in a really difficult environment and then go up against everybody else that doesn't live at a mile above sea level. But they're awesome athletes. What does that do for athletics across the board at the University of New Mexico?
Well, I think it raises the bar a little bit, gets everyone just a little bit more of a shot in the butt, so to speak, and gets them going, gets them excited, sometimes rejuvenates. But, it's our second national championship only in school history, and I think it even more so for the student athletes, shows them what can happen. And I think that's really where it starts, and I think it's great for them.
It's also got to help to just have people sort of start looking over the fence again at the entire program, all the athletic programs here, and just saying, hey, what's going on in New Mexico? Yeah,
every year our programs are outside of the Big Five conferences. We're one of the top programs in the Directors Cup, and it's the great job that so many of the coaches and athletes do here. But I think outside of that, it's really hard now, particularly for team sports with the Big Five, to crack into postseason and different things. And we just saw that on Sunday with the volleyball thing. Boise State and Wyoming both had RPIs that should have gotten them in, and they both got jumped over, and for big conference teams. And it's very difficult, and hopefully this is another shot in the arm. And that happened to us a couple years ago, and it's unfortunate, but I do think it's, like I said, it's a shot in the arm, and it's so awesome when a non-Big Five conference wins a national championship in anything, and I think that's one of the things that's really cool about it.
Awesome. Let's talk about, it's been a while since I've gotten a chance to see you. We did senior night, and then you guys went out of town. So let's talk first about senior night. Utah State, what a great night. What a great set of games, taking that sweep 3-0 over Utah State, but really, really excellent performances by the entire team, but in particular the 4 seniors.
Yeah, 3 seniors. We can't get rid of anybody else too fast here. But it was. I mean, they had really good performances. I think Hannah Johnson offensively was really good the whole week. Sky came up with a big match blocking and hitting, and Simone hit well, and it was just a really good night. We had a big crowd. They were engaged. It was fun. We had a nice reception afterwards. Hannah gave quite a speech to the crowd afterwards.
Hannah, who is probably one of the strongest people that we know, actually got a little choked up at the very end there.
Yeah, she did, but it was kind of funny because before the game I said, remember, one of you seniors has to address the crowd after the game, and she said, I prepared, and game ends, and she runs and gets out a 2-page speech or whatever, and she's got it all ready to go, and I was like, all right. Mm-hmm. So she did a great job with it, though, and definitely got a little choked up, but I think the crowd really appreciated it, and I know her teammates and coaches did.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for all of us in Johnson Center. Hannah Johnson, who we kind of believe that they named the center after, anticipating her birth, obviously, because it's been around a lot longer than she has. Simone Henderson and Sky Gillette. Just a wonderful night, and it was a lot of fun right after that too. That everybody came down onto the floor, as they always do, to get some autographs and stuff. But in particular, paid a lot of attention to the seniors.
Yeah, it was a fairly quick match, but it ended up being a long night because people milled around for A good hour. We had a reception after that. It got to be a late night after all that, but definitely worth it and a lot of fun.
Didn't waste a lot of time. You guys got on the road shortly thereafter and headed off for your last road trip in the last 2 games of the season. First up was the match against Boise State.
Yeah, it was a tough match. Boise had a great season, finishing second in the conference, and we had our opportunities to win. We went up there and won game 1. It's a really tough place to play. It's smaller than a high school gym, and they had it packed, and came out well and won game 1. Game 2 went down to the wire, along with game 3. A little bit of controversy in that, but overall, we played well. It was a good volleyball match. We had our chances to win. We had match or game point in game 3 and let it get away, but it was a really good volleyball match. Again, Hannah Johnson played really well. Big match for her. She ended up being Offensive Player of the Week for that week in the Mountain West Conference, and just 2 really, really outstanding matches for her in the closeout weeks.
Couple of great weeks here because you get Hannah Johnson as the Offensive Player of the Week, and then the very next week, Sky Gillette as the Defensive Player of the Week. Nice to see those kinds of accolades for 2, again, seniors, but also just 2 players on the team here.
Yeah, and when we get to the Air Force game, we'll talk a little bit about what Sky did because it was really incredible what she did in that game. But finishing out with the Boise State, they had a great year. Sean Garris is their head coach. He was one of my assistants for a few years, and he was the Big 12, the Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year this year. So I congratulate him. And they just had a great year, and I think we had a really exciting match up there. It could have gone either way, and I was happy that even though we were out of the conference race, we were still engaged in playing hard, and I think the last 2 weeks showed it with the 2 wins and the tough loss at Boise State, but we were playing good ball. 43 assists,
for Hannah Johnson and 15 digs. And 18 kills, it says. I didn't realize she had 18 kills.
Hannah? I think it's 8 kills.
I was going to say, that was a pretty good game. I didn't get a chance to see that one, but I was reading that number, and pretty impressive. So other standouts there, it was Devon Sours had 18 kills, and she led the team with 18. Cassie House had 11 kills, and I'm trying to find the other number here that was sticking out. Julia Warren had 8 kills.
Yeah, and Julia played well on this whole last series as well, just doing her thing. There were times in both the Boise State match and then again at Air Force where she had moved the passing over and really was covering probably 70% of the court by herself. And it was interesting, but she did it well, and teams were still, instead of pursuing all that court, they were still trying to serve the narrow margin away from her instead of serving into her zone, which I think shows the respect she has from the other coaches for her ball control and serve receive.
Going to be interesting to see these seniors come in next year. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and we've got also a little teaser here, some sand volleyball to talk about before we get to that. But let's move on to Air Force. So just up the road at Air Force, and you close out the season with a 3-1 win over Air Force. A little bit of a fight going on there.
Well, the Air Force had five or six seniors, and most of them start. And so we knew that was not a match we wanted to get them on their senior night, because obviously with all those seniors, they were going to come at us, and they did. They came at us the first game tough and served tough and went after us, and we dropped the first game. And then we kind of worked our way back in, and they had kind of a rambunctious crowd that was getting on us a lot, serving and different things. But we were able to battle back, regain our composure a little bit, and then started playing good ball and finished the match really strong. Cassie House had just a big-time match there. Came up really big for us, both offensively and blocking, and really looked like she's, the last couple of weeks, had really regained her form since having shoulder surgery. She looked strong. She was physical. She was hitting over the block and scoring, and just really played a great match at Air Force.
And Sky Gillette, who was the Defensive Player of the Week, had 10 blocks.
which was really exciting because she came into the last match needing 10 to tie the all-time record for New Mexico volleyball. And to get 10 in a 4-game match is really a lot. 2.5 blocks per game is a lot. And she just kept plugging away. And at the start of the 4th game, we're like, good chance she's going to get this. And sure enough, she did. And it was a nice moment. She was very excited. The team was really excited for her afterwards. They cheered and kind of got around her and, you know, the whole thing. And the other thing that happened, Hannah Johnson needed, I don't know, 10 or 11 digs to eclipse 1,000, and she got that. So she got 1,000 digs on the same night, which I'm not sure if a setter here has done that before. I'd have to go back and look because there's only, I don't know, 14 players that have ever made 1,000 digs. But for your setter to do that's really amazing because you don't really want your setter digging that many balls because they need to be running the offense. But that's just her nature, and she plays great defense. And so that was a really nice mark for her on the last night as well.
It's a nice compliment coming from another setter.
Yeah, sure.
It's
Really
funny, though,
one.
that when I saw that, and of course you and Mike, knew that she was getting close to that goal. I didn't realize it because I was so sort of fixed on the set record, and she was getting closer and closer to that. Ended up 7 away from first place in that one, so second all time. In pretty good company, though.
In great company. Jade Michelson was a great setter here, but if Hannah had played one more game, anywhere along the way, she would have had that record. If that match had gone 5, she would have had that record. But we're glad it didn't. She was happy it didn't. It was in her true form of being a great team player and a great leader. It was most important for her to win and finish strong and leave that, and that's what happened, and she was happy about that.
Finished up the season 4th overall in the Mountain West Conference. The Mountain West Conference has come a long way.
It was a good year in the Mountain West. There were a lot of teams that had significant wins. I think that we had a chance this year to get 3 teams into postseason. Like I said before, unfortunately, they got jumped over. Teams with lower RPIs went ahead of them, and tough situation. But I think our conference is improving, and it's allowing the RPIs to stay up. 2 years ago when we were 24-7 and second in the conference, some of the RPIs at the bottom of the conference were so low that each time we played them, even though we won and we were doing what we were supposed to, it dragged us down. And I think this year we didn't see that happen as much. We didn't see where we were winning and dropping. And I don't think anyone saw that like we had in the past. So I do think we're getting better with those numbers and how we're doing things, and we got to keep improving.
So maybe that jump over is a little bit of a mental legacy by the selection folks?
No, I just think there's a real play for the Big Five, and they get so many power matches in their schedule just from their conference. It's hard to overcome that. We have to be almost perfect in our non-conference to have a shot at overcoming that. And Wyoming did that with a big win over Ohio State. Boise had a win over Northwestern, which we thought would be a good win, but Northwestern kind of fell down at the end. But, for us, we had a great win over Santa Clara, who's in the tournament, beat them 3-0 here. I think there were matches that helped hold things up. And certainly Colorado State's great record and everything, great win over Iowa State the last weekend. But, overall we still have a little work to do. It's improving, I think. We're getting back to where we were prior to maybe BYU and Utah leaving, and when we were getting 3 and 4 teams in every year. And I think the potential is there for that. But it's always going to be tough now. I mean, not very many teams get in outside of the power conferences, and you really have to nail it in the preseason.
Season's over now. Do you everybody get behind, mentally get behind Colorado State, and we want to see them do really well?
Well, we do want them to do well, and unfortunately, they got a tough draw. They don't play Stanford. They play LMU, which is a very good team, but they got sent to Stanford, so they get Stanford in round 2. Unfortunately, that could be a tough draw. I think they're capable of winning, but tough to play Stanford at Stanford, and I think with a better draw, they probably would have had a better shot at going deeper. But we're certainly going to support them and hope they can find a way to get a couple wins at Stanford and move on, because that sends a message to the volleyball committee as well that they need to give our conference a little more respect.
The team got some respect, conference respect here, as 4 players make it to the all-conference team. Hannah and Sky, and Simone and Cassie.
Yeah, Hannah and Sky were named to the first team all-conference. That really wasn't a surprise to me. Statistically, they both were really strong. They had great seasons. Hannah's third in the conference in double-doubles. She, of the setters, leads in a number of categories, was third in assists, led all the setters in digs and blocks, and just really did a good job. With Sky, in the middle, we look at a couple numbers. We look at what their blocks per game are. We look at what their hitting percentage is, and she was good in both of those criteria. She held up really well against the conference. She was third in blocks per game and sixth in hitting percentage, and I think, when you've got 2 numbers that high in the conference stats, it's a good chance you're going to make it, and she did, and we were really happy about that. And especially since they're both seniors, what a great way to go out.
Yes.
And it's a great honor being selected at the top of your peers in your conference, and they both were very deserving. And then Cassie really came on late. If you would have asked me 4 weeks ago that this would happen, I would have said probably not, but really finished strong, and I think is looking stronger. If that had happened a little sooner, may have even been farther up the list, but really improved her standing in the last few weeks. And then, Simone was at the top of the conference, top 5, 6, 7 in hitting percentage all year, and just offensively did a great job, and was able to get on that list as well.
Nice way to end up the season with a big win. That ends the hard court season, if you will, and you've got beach volleyball coming up.
Well, even before that, with the way we're structuring things here now with having beach volleyball, the indoor team will come back and start right away in January with their indoor spring season. Play January and February. We're looking at probably playing matches against UTEP and Arizona State in that time, and we'll see what else happens, maybe Air Force. Those are the people we've talked to, but primarily in January and February. And then in March, they actually go to an individual style of training where they're working one-on-one with coaches.
Okay.
And that's when the beach season picks up the 1st of March. We open in at Arizona State, a 5-team tournament that's going to be really good. We're going to see, I believe, South Carolina, Florida State, some teams that we haven't seen. Florida State's really good. ASU, I think we're picking up Grand Canyon that weekend. I can't remember, but just a number of a new program. Colorado Mesa has a program now. Starting right off the first 2 days with 5 matches and getting into it. But everyone's really excited. About 7 or 8 of our kids will roll over between the 2 sports, and the rest will just stay focused on indoor. But I think it's going to be really good. It's a fun sand season. We have 24 matches this year. Last year we played 14. We've been able to increase our budget a little bit and expand what we're doing a little bit. Plus we had a little more time to be organized, get some fundraising done, and I think it's going to be really exciting. We will see USC, who won the national championship last year, Arizona, who's a top 10 program, Arizona State a couple times. I believe we have Arizona State over here in mid-March, I think at the end of spring break. Just a lot of fun stuff. We're going to go east and see TCU, and again, played them last year, but see them out at their place, and probably see Louisiana State again. But lots of stuff going on, lots of great matches, and it's fun to see it grow. Last year there were 51 teams. I think this year they're anticipating about 80 teams, and it's awesome. Just growing really fast, and we're excited about what's happening and how excited our players are about it. They really enjoy it, and you're going to see a player like Marissa Duran, who was kind of our all-around first sub type player on the indoor team, be one of the leaders in the outdoor. She's an outstanding outdoor player and is going to do really good things for us this spring. And Hannah's coming back, and she played in the number 1 spot last year, and I wouldn't be surprised even if they ended up being partners. But lots of fun things there. Devon Sours, Ashley Kelsey were good last year. Easton and Julia had the top record in beach last year, and they'll be back. So we have our entire team back. We just lost Sarah and Ashley Newman, but we've gained a couple real good recruits, and the body of the point scoring team is back.
Anybody on that team that's not on the regular team?
Yeah. Lisa Rugen is the captain of the sand team right now, and she redshirted indoor and focused on sand this year. She played in the 4th spot with Ashley Newman last year, and we look for her to be a point scorer again for us. She did well last year. Maddie Mayfield, Chloe Capel. There's 5 or 6 kids that are 6 right now, I believe, that are sand only. So they've been training all fall in the sand with our volunteer assistant Daniel Fu, and the teams will be brought together again in late February to head towards the March and April sand season.
I saw a quick post on Facebook where Lisa went with Devon and got a little taste of New Mexico countryside, which has got to be dramatically different than her homeland.
For Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but that's cool. Yeah, they all live together, and so I'm not surprised that happened. But yeah, Lisa's from Norway, so I'm sure that was fun for her. And
bit different.
Yeah, out there in Tatum.
No doubt about it. I'm excited for sand. I'm looking forward to it. Will people be able to come and watch the spring plate, by the way?
Yeah, and our schedule will be released in the next couple of weeks, and people will see not a lot of home action because, sand events are different than indoor. You go and you play at a place and you play 3 or 4 or 5 matches at one place. So kind of move around. We're looking at having 1 or 2 home weekends. Hopefully 2, but we have 1 lined up for sure that's really good. So
it's been a great season. It's been a lot of fun, again, being out here with you. Definitely going to miss those seniors, as they go, but it's like this every year. Got some new players coming in too. Did you want to talk about them at all?
Well, I think we talked about them in a previous show, but they're going to add a lot and be really make our team. I think we'll come back right away next year as stronger, and I think we can do a lot of good things with the youth. It's a super athletic team. It's probably as athletic as we've ever been and as high as we've ever been as a team on the net. And, I think that there's a lot of exciting things that can happen, but it has to come together. We've got to put together a good preseason again like this year, but, win the tight ones because there's no question that shook us a little bit early. We've got to take care of that, and I think we can really get after it. And I think the conference is going to be really strong next year. So a lot of good things going on, but we're ready to go, and we're excited, and they're ready to get back in the gym. We've told them to take a few weeks off and then get after it.
Great plan. That's going to do it for us here on Holding Court with Coach Jeff Nelson. Want to remind you that go to golobos.com, look for the schedules as they come out. Lobos still need your support, and if you watched or were at that very last match here in Johnson Center for senior night, you've got to be coming back in and enjoying us in that gym because Johnson Center was on fire that night. It was a lot of fun. You got something else?
I do. It was a lot of fun, and we want to thank JD for being our voice at the games. Our video productions are widely watched throughout the conference. I hear from people all the time about it, and you do a great job. And our alumni and parents are really happy about that, so we want to just say thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that very much, and it is a pleasure to do it. Fun having you join us online. Really would still rather have you in the gym whenever you can. So until next time, folks, that's the last edition of the season for Holding Court with Coach Jeff Nelson.